Hey guys, it's me, Stormie. So we have finished up the planets, and now it's time to move on to the houses. So what are the houses? Well, in astrology, the houses are a specific place in your birth chart that help us pinpoint a specific planet and a specific sign and the influence that they have over your life. For example, you may have Mars in Taurus, and your friend may have Mars in Taurus as well. But if they're in different houses, they're going to affect your charts and impact them completely differently and in different areas of your life. So basically, that's how we become different people. The other thing, the houses of your chart are based on the exact moment that you were born. So knowing your exact birth time, or as close as you can, and I know some people out there can't get that, but as close as you can is very, very important. And it's important because astrology is very exact. So the moment you were born, that's what determines your astrological rising sign. That's the sign of your first house. So that's really, really important as well because it's the beginning of where you start, basically, and the way you present yourself to the world. We'll talk about all of that in the different houses. But basically, after that, after your first house is established, then 2 through 12 will fall in line right behind that. The other point about the houses is that it really shows you who you are from the way that you are spiritually connected, the way that you communicate, your personality type. And it really can show you that each and every different area of your life you have different reactions to because of different influences of different energies. For example, the first 6 houses of the zodiac, those are really personal. They're really like immediate. They are tangible, a little bit more tangible. And the other 6 houses of the zodiac are very much so less tangible. Things like spirituality, concepts like that are still to come, your future, your long-range goals, things like that. Those are what lie in the last 6 houses of the zodiac. So what happens if you're looking at your chart and you have no signs in a specific house? Yes, it still counts. It's still very, very important because it's important to look at the zodiac sign that is the ruler of that house because that sign is still sharing the energy and impacting that part of your life. So think about it like this. If you have a house that has no planets in it and Aries is the ruler of that house, you would be much more independent, much more maybe even aggressive. That's the kind of energy that would be supported in that house, which is way different than if you have Cancer in the 4th house, right? Like that would be a much different field of the nurturer and the carer and the homebody. So do you see what I mean? Like you still have to account for the energies that are there, and we do that in astrology. So on the way, over the next 12 days, we are going to talk about each of the 12 houses. And just so you know, a small thing to catch you up on, your chart is made up of 12 houses, 12 signs, and we're going to cover them all. All right, guys, you can subscribe to the channel down below. Make sure you come back tomorrow where I'll be talking about the first house. If you've got questions, my email is down below. Definitely click the Facebook link because smaller videos and more information goes up there too, as well as the Stormie Grace website, which is still under construction, but the blog is up. I love you guys. Bye. Hey guys, it's me, Stormie. So tonight we're going to talk about the first house. So your first house of your birth chart influences really who you are as an overall person and who you present to people. That's why we say it's kind of like the mask. And that is also the representation of where your rising sign is. So when we talk about your rising sign, we're talking about what people perceive from you. So really when we talk about the first house, it's that house of self. So this could be your physical appearance, your personality, your concept of yourself, all of those things like that. And yes, all of the planets work together in a chart to form the complete picture. But as we break down house by house, you get to see that the first house, the house of self, is a really general but strong representation of who you are, the energy you move through the world in, and how others will perceive you. Also about about traits that are important to you, things that you want to have in your life. So really, the nature of your first house is the personality that you put out to others. That's the big thing that I think. Now, in general, and not in every chart, as you will see if you've ever looked at your own chart, in general, though, the first house is associated with Aries, and this is a fire sign. He's that fire sign of the zodiac, so he's very independent. He's about a little bit of fury, a little bit of self-satisfying, about energy. This is the sign of action. So these are all things that can be represented right there in your first house. So as you're looking at this first house, know a couple things. You'll find your rising sign there, and that this is the house of you. This is the changes to you. So that's the first house. Stay tuned for 90 and 90, where I continue tomorrow on day 13 with the second house. Bye, guys. Hey guys, it's me, Stormie, and tonight we're talking about the second house. Now, the second house is about resources and about worth and about your personal approach to things like money, the personal approach you have to your self-worth and the things that you value. It's about the things that you desire, your concept of beauty, your concept of yourself, things like that. Now, I want to just give you an example of how this can be very different, because that can sound sometimes like all of the rest of the houses, but really it's not. So let's say someone has Virgo in their second house. The traits that may be more common is that this person may be more practical. They may be better with money, but they may be hyper critical and sensitive of their own behaviors and the behaviors of others. And so the things they find beautiful would be much different than somebody, let's say, that has Leo in their second house, who they are a bit more showy. They have a lot more bravado. They're a lot more confident. They have that whole kind of thing going for them. So the energies can really shift depending on what signs are in a different house. But the house itself is basically going to stay the same. When I talk about houses, I really like to think a little bit in terms of drama. So if you think of the houses as being the set, right? Those pieces, it's what's happening in the backdrop of everything. Then the signs or the planets get to be very much so like the props. So if you have a scene happening in the second house of resources and of values and of the way you spend money, and then you have Leo or you have Virgo or you have some other energy in there, you get to see exactly how it works together. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what's going on in the second house. Now, traditionally and in general, the second house is associated with Taurus, and those traits are, a little bit more stubborn, a little stable, a little bit more slow going, but they definitely take time to enjoy the beautiful and the luxurious things in life too. So that's a little bit about the second house. Join me tomorrow when I move on to talk about the third house. Bye, guys.
Hey guys, it's me, Stormie. So tonight we are covering the third house. The third house in astrology is all about the way we communicate, the way we think, our relationships with our siblings and our neighbors, things that are in our immediate space, and places that are nearby. So if you think about it, as you're looking at your chart, if you had maybe, let's say, Virgo in your third house, then the way you think and the way you communicate may be a little bit more practical. You may be very, very detailed. You could even be very critical. Whereas if you have it in, let's say, Sagittarius, it might be a little bit more fun, a little bit more free, a little bit more grandiose, a little bit more playful, or something like that. So it just changes the way we communicate and the way that we think here. In general, the third house is associated with the communication sign, which is Gemini, who is ruled by a very, very mental Mercury, right? So generally, that's where it sits in the third house, and that's who rules over it. But of course, in your birth chart, you may notice that your third house is someplace else. You may have different planets in there. You may have a lot of planets in there. You may have absolutely no planets in there. So it'll all be different just depending on your chart. Go ahead and subscribe down below to keep going with us with the 90 videos in 90 days as we continue to cover the houses, the signs in different houses, and everything about astrology. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey guys, it's Stormie. So today we are going to talk about the fourth house. Now, the fourth house represents in your chart your security, your relationship with your home, with your property, even the way that you decorate your home or the type of property that you would own, your roots, your memories, the way you relate to your family. All of these things are covered in this house. And what's really kind of cool about it is when you look at the things in the fourth house, if you had somebody who has like Saturn in their fourth house, they may have a space that is more clean lines, more functional. There could be, rhyme and reason to everything. Whereas if you meet somebody who has like Venus in their fourth house, they may have a very beautiful space. It may be cozy. It may appear beautiful. The outside of their house is most likely beautiful, but when you're in it, you're in luxury. That's really kind of some of the differences that happen in just the physical space of this house. Now, this house itself, because it's the fourth, is generally associated with Cancer. And Cancer is the crab, and he's nice and safe and tucked inside of his little home, so I think he's a pretty good representative. And then you also have the moon, who is the ruling planet over Cancer, who is about nurturing. And that mama papa moon is very nurturing. So it has a lot to do with our home space and our relations and our security. All right, please subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely join me on the Facebook page because there's many more smaller videos that go up there every day. I answer questions from there as well. So I will see you guys tomorrow where we talk about the fifth house. Bye, guys. Hey guys, it's me, Stormy. So today I'm talking to you very quickly about the fifth house. It's one of my favorite houses because it's the house of play. It's the house that is generally associated with Leo, and we know they're a little sassy, a little frisky themselves, those lions. But this house is about play, your hobbies. How do you express yourself? The house of children. This is also the house that is very much so about dating and romance, the lightheartedness of it, the playfulness of it. So I'm a big fan of this house. And you know what? I have absolutely no planets in this house, but thank goodness it's associated with Leo because I'm super, super playful. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow when we talk about the sixth house. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below. Bye. Hello, 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 peeps. It's me, Stormy, and today we are talking about the sixth house. Now, the sixth house is all about your day-to-day routine, your work, your job skills and job training, and it's also the house of your health. So when you're looking at your sixth house, it's very much so related as well to your ideas of how you improve yourself or how to change things so that you can improve yourself so you have and achieve that personal growth. It's like when you want to find out what's not working, you want to look at your sixth house because it's going to point out what's not working and stopping you from getting to the next level. So when you're looking for those kinds of questions, you're going to look here as well so you can start taking those steps to make the changes you need to and grow. What's neat about the houses is that the first six houses are all more or less about you on a personal level and some outside factors like your home and your siblings and things outside of you, relational type of things. But then the last six houses are all about like the inner you, that core level, karmic, soul kind of work. And they're these less tangible ideas that you can't just grab onto and see, like spirituality. So when we look at the sixth house, this is the last house that a planet is going to transit before it starts moving into that deep core soul level inner you kind of work. So that's what's going on in the sixth house. And I will see you tomorrow when we talk about the seventh. Bye, guys. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow if I can find the stop button. Hey, it's me, Stormy, talking to you right now about the seventh house. The seventh house is that house of partnerships. So what's going on in this house? It has to do mostly around romantic partnerships, but it can absolutely include work partnerships as well. Basically, if it's a one-on-one type of partnership, this is falling into this house. And what's happening really when we look in this house is you're looking at the way you act in relationships, the way you suit up and show up and participate. So like if you had somebody who has, let's say, Cancer in their seventh house, they are in a relationship going to look to be more nurtured, more secure, to grow in that, to be that more homebody parental kind of figure. and just have maybe a little bit more softness to them in their partnerships. Now, if you have somebody who has Aries in the 7th house, they are independent, they are standalone, they are probably the boss of the relationship, more than likely. Even if you had a person whose sun sign was Cancer, their rising sign was Pisces, and their 7th house sign is Aries, you can see these people who are in every other respect very passive or very, a little bit more humble, be the boss. It's absolutely incredible when we see this happen. Now, in astrology, not necessarily in your chart specifically, as we've discussed, but in astrology, the 7th house is associated with Libra, and Libra is ruled by Venus. So this is kind of that if you have no planets in there, you still have to account for the energy that Libra and Venus bring to it. And it's very lovely. It's very romantic. It's very connected. It's looking for balance like Libra likes to do. So if you're looking to what's going on in your partnerships, your one-on-one kind of relationships, you would look right here to the 7th house. Go ahead and subscribe down below. Leave your questions and comments, of course. And I will see you tomorrow when we talk about the 8th house. Hey guys, it's me, Stormy, and today we are talking about the 8th house. This house has a lot of passion and a lot of fury to it, I think. Now, the 2nd house is all about your resources, but the 8th house is all about resources that you share with another person. This can be joint finances, investments, living spaces, values, and also sex and intimacy. This is definitely the house of your sexuality. So you get to see a lot of things that get to developed out of here in terms of how you handle yourself in joint situations as well. This is also the house of what they call extremes. This is about death and life, death and birth. This is also about how you heal and the process you go through to regenerate your soul and your conscience after a major loss or a major gain. Things like that also happen right here in the 8th house. If you've got some 8th house questions, go ahead and leave them down below, and we're going to keep trekking right along where I'll be talking to you tomorrow about the 9th house. Bye, guys. Hello, hello. Today we are talking about the 9th house. Now, the 9th house of the astrological chart rules faraway places, rules your opportunities, your mental expansion, your sense of adventure. And it's really cool because this is also a house that is very philosophical, which I think is rightly so because it's generally associated with Sagittarius, and they are very philosophical and adventurous people, and ruled by Jupiter, who is one of the luckiest planets, if not the luckiest planet, and then one of the most opportunistic planets as well. Jupiter is always looking to bring you luck and opportunities and things like that. So when you see that in here in your 9th house, you can also see where your educational goals are, where your job skills might be, even maybe not so much job skills, but life skills. And you can also see what you think about higher education, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, getting yourself out there to the world. All of those things can be seen right here in the 9th house. If you've got 9th house questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I'm going to keep moving tomorrow, where we will move into our last 3 houses, 10, 11, and 12. Those are coming up in the next few days. Of course, you can always subscribe. I would absolutely love that. But if you have questions or comments, leave them down below. Bye, guys. Hey guys, today we are tackling the 10th house, and the 10th house is all about your career. Now, we talked about the 6th house, and the 6th house is all about your day-to-day routines at work, your job skills, some of those things, but the 10th house is actually about your ambitions for your career, your relationships with power and authority and people in those positions of power and authority, your public figure status if you have one, or what you even would think about that, as well as your general concept of your career life. That all lies right here in the 10th house. The 10th house is actually called the top of your birth chart. And that is because it's actually also is known as midheaven, because it's the highest point on your chart that a planet can reach before it starts to descend throughout the final parts of your chart. The 10th house is generally, not by any surprise, associated with Capricorn. And we know that Capricorn is an absolute go-getter, a workhorse, let's get it done. They are about the career, right? And having the planet Saturn over them makes them very sturdy towards that career goal oriented kind of way of being, especially in the areas of making money. So that's what the 10th house is all about. If you've got questions about your 10th house, go ahead and leave them down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow for our last two houses before we start our sign profiles. Bye, guys. Hey guys, today we are talking about the 11th house. The 11th house is one I really love because it's all about our relationships to humanity, to groups, to friends, to social engagements, networking, things like that. I really, when I talk about it in scopes, I talk about it as the house of groups, friends, and things like that. So you'll know that some kind of social something is coming up. But when we look to this part of your chart, you also get to see what your wishes and aspirations are, the visions that you have for your future. What do you want down the road? You get to see those here and see how you might be a better networker or how your networking skills could use a little bit of work also in this house. Now, this house is generally, just in general, associated with Aquarius, and he's very much so futuristic, right? He's very much so, especially with Uranus around, he is very much so shaken up and sometimes doesn't know what it's going to be, but also looking at it from an innovative state of mind or being or point of view or something like that. So granted, in your 11th house, you might not have Aquarius as your ruler, and that is totally okay. It could look like something different, but this is the house that we look to: friends, group activities, long-range goals. That's where we're looking right here in the 11th house. I will see you tomorrow where we will finish up the last house before we start our sign profiles. Bye, guys. Hi guys, today we are doing the 12th house, which will bring us to the end of the houses series. But the 12th house is a pretty big and important house, as they all are. But in the 12th house, we get to see that this is the house of the hidden. This is the house of the secret, the subconscious, the house of spirituality here. What do you need to rejuvenate yourself before you move forward? How do you find healthy downtime for yourself? What are your subconscious thoughts? How do you escape? Things like that. All of these things that are they're not tangible. Okay, because really when we look at the 9th house, those are about a few more tangible kind of ideas, but the 12th house is not this tangible idea of spirituality or concepts around that. It's very internal. It's your innermost. And when I talk about it sometimes in scopes, you'll see that I point out that we're kind of stepping out of the realm of spirituality a little bit and stepping very much so into an action that you currently have where you are keeping a secret or having a secret love affair or having a secret whatever, something like that. Sometimes it's really funny in this house, depending on who you're working with, you can tell all the way down to they are planning a surprise party if the astrologer knows what they're doing. So it's very, very cool to realize that the 12th house is all about the hidden. And what's even neater about the 12th house is that it is your last house. So after this, the planet will return to your first house and start the cycle all over again to move completely through your zodiac chart. So very good stuff. We have just finished up the houses. Starting tomorrow, we will be starting your sign profile. So we are going to start right up front with Aries. I'm going to let you know what Aries is about, what kind of energy they're bringing to the table, also some colors and some more really fun information for you about Aries. So if you're an Aries or an Aries rising, got you. It's coming up. Bye, guys.